in studio with me. He was also the voice of the Class AA clash between Missoula Sentinel and Billings West. So we'll continue to give you the best when it comes to prep coverage, but time now for some college football coverage. It's game week at long last. I know the Grizzlies got a little bit of a taste in the spring, in April. The Bobcats have had no taste of real game competition or preparation since December of 2019. There was a moment in time where I thought we weren't going to make it to this point. I thought it might all be over. I thought we might have no more ESPN, no more Skyline Sports, no more Grizzly Radio Network.
How many different times?
I mean, there was a couple times.
Yeah.
We're sitting here thinking, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to time? I was a lost son of a gun for a while there. But then once we kind of turned the page, could see the light at the end of the tunnel, now we've been building. I can't even tell you how pumped I am. But, Riley, just your thoughts now that it's here and it's game week and we are talking about the Washington Huskies, the Wyoming Cowboys. We're talking about real-life opponents here across the state of Montana.
It feels so good, Coulter. And you know me. I absolutely counted down the weeks of how long it has been. And, yes, those 2 spring games were nice. But as far as actual game week competition, and the same timeline goes for Montana State, there's been 90 weeks in between the final competitive game in late December of 2019 and now getting ready for a more normal game this week. So it's been a long 90 weeks in between, but it certainly feels back to normal, at least in that regard, where the routine is set for guys like me and you to break down an actual matchup that's coming, to actually have a lot of interest on the outside too. It feels like it's a big breath of fresh air, really, that we've made it to this point. Because, again, that's why I kind of threw that out there. It's happened numerous times, I think, through the last, 6 months to a year. Man, I don't know if we're ever going to get to this point. Is it going to happen? Or are there going to be more restrictions? Everything in between. We've made it. And these games are going to happen on Saturday. And there's a different buzz, and you could feel it being at the press conference inside the Adams Center today for Montana, and I know over in Bozeman, getting back underway for them too, and kind of a new era of football. So fans want to talk about actually what is going to happen on the field rather than what potentially could get canceled, and we're here to provide it for them, and it certainly feels different. The normal excitement and buzz is back.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hear from the man that knows the most. I actually thought we have tongue-in-cheek talked about these press conferences that Bobby Houck conducts each and every Monday. Coach Houck gives us here at ESPN Radio an interview each week that, if you listen to this show, Houck's highlights are awesome. Right? Bobby just likes to make things efficient, no matter what it is. And so he told me when I first got back to Missoula a couple years ago, he said, you come down before Tuesday practice, have 5 questions ready to go. We'll knock it out. Boom, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's how you got to do it, Coach Houck. I thought Bobby was very good at his press conference today, actually. And I shouldn't say actually. If you ask Bobby great questions, he'll give you good answers. Sometimes that just eludes a lot of our colleagues.
Ask good questions.
Let's be more specific. Ask football questions.
Thank you. I just sit in the back and laugh sometimes.
But regardless, the number one thing I have to mention here before we play this sound from Coach Houck, Eric Tabor, I love you because you got a microphone for the questions. I have been getting emails and texts and Twitter messages since I first started working in media back in Montana back in 2011. Why can't we hear the questions in the press conference? Why has no one figured this out? Well, it's been way more complicated than we could ever explain to you, so I'm not blaming anybody, but gosh dang it, Aaron Heiner and Eric Tabor, Montana Sports Information, figured this out. And so if you want to hear the duration of Bobby Houck's press conference, it will be available on the Big Sky Breakdown podcast here in about 2 minutes, because I'm going to go post it right when we play this sound. But either way, thanks to those guys, because you can actually hear the questions. But here's about 5 minutes from Bobby Houck's press conference previewing Montana's Saturday matchup against the University of Washington at Husky Stadium in Seattle.
Great to see everybody. It's awesome to be back to normal and getting ready to kick the season off. So excited about that, and excited about the opportunity to play the Washington Huskies. I'm obviously aware that a couple of years ago we played them and got beat 63-7. We're going to go out there and compete and see if we've been able to close that gap at all. We've got players in both their locker room, in our locker room, that we're on the teams for that game. And like I said, we'll go compete and see if we've been able to close that gap. So we know a lot about them. They're a top 20 team this year. They're very good. They're deep. They're talented up front in particular. They do have great skill players on both sides of the ball as well. Corner, safety, quarterback, running back, wide receivers. So there's a reason why they're ranked in the top 20. I'm particularly impressed with their fronts. They're huge and they're athletic up front. So that will be a real test for us. I think Washington will have a big year. I think they are poised to have a great season. So we're excited to play, and we'll see where it goes.
Bob, you've been around the Pac-12 before, so what do you think of just the prestige of Washington as a program? Because they have a lot of rich football tradition, national championship, all that.
Yeah, having worked there and then coached against them, it's a great place. It's a powerful football program, and they've got rich tradition there, just like we do here, and it's an impressive place. I don't know how many of you have been there and how many are going this weekend, but you'll see it's a cool place.
What are some of your memories when you coached at Washington?
Well, getting to know and be friends long term with a lot of Husky legends, from Coach James to Steve Entman to go down the list. We're good friends, and Coach James is a mentor. Also remember having a lot of success, a lot of wins, winning the Rose Bowl, beating Drew Brees in the Rose Bowl. That was great. It's just a powerful place.
In general, you've opened up with FBS opponents before during your time in Montana. What do you think of the challenge, both broadly and then this specific challenge as well? What do you think it does for your team to open up with an opponent like this?
Well, I don't know if it does. I mean, it puts a bunch of money in the coffer. That helps. You got to fund the department, so that helps. Beyond that, like I said, we went out there a couple of years ago and it was 63-7. There's all kinds of adjectives you can use to describe that, but there's only one way to slice it. That's demolishing, and I hope we've closed the gaps.
Does Washington look different? Just 4 games under Jimmy Lake, so do they look different than what they looked like under Coach Peterson?
Well, I didn't watch them very much when Chris was the head coach. I competed against with them when they were at Boise a bunch, and saw that. So they're very similar. The defense has evolved to, they've been doing this sort of structure for quite a while now, so that hasn't changed. They're personnel based on offense. They're going to play to their strengths, like all good coaches do. They've got a really good group of tight ends, the best one being Otten, who's just a future pro, and so they'll have a tight end or probably several tight ends on the field a large part of the game, but they want to run the ball. They want to pound you a little bit, so we can expect that.
Defensively, they've had such a great run, especially the last 8 or 10 years of NFL guys. Do you still see that sort of talent on that side of the ball? And then what about both the scheme and the way that they recruit make them so good defensively?
Yeah, the scheme is, it's a 1 high, 3 deep based 4 down scheme. It's what it is. They have the know-how on the defensive side to get to what they need, but they're big and physical on defense. That's what they are, and they've got some shutdown guys in the secondary, so that'll be a challenge.
Coach, you mentioned Don James. If you've ever been around that area, you know how big of a legend he is. But you mentioned he's sort of a mentor of yours. What sort of things have you taken from him, or what did you learn from him that sort of helped you in your head coaching career?
I was real fortunate to get to know Coach and Carol, and his son-in-law, Jeff Woodruff, was an analyst for us at UNLV, so been associated with those folks at least remotely, quite a bit. I got a chance to spend time with Coach. When I was there, I grabbed every minute I could. If I got 10 minutes to talk to him, I would use it. And, I just pick his brain on a lot of things. And there are imprints of things I learned from him in recruiting and practice and everything else we do.
So you go, Bobby Houck, on Montana's matchup. Saturday night, 6 p.m. kick, Mountain Standard Time from Husky Stadium. On Montlake, the Grizzlies opening up against the Washington Huskies. More on Montana's opener, Montana State's opener, some sound with Brent Vegan, Montana State head coach, and some question marks, main storylines going into the weekend here on Nuanez Now, the Montana Football Hour, proudly presented by Stockman Bank. Keep it right here, ESPN Radio.
You've been waiting far too long to get back on the links. I mean, summer's here, so I think you should head on out to Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course set along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The challenging course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape. Now, Canyon River also has golf carts with the Shark experience. That's right, giving you laser-sharp GPS. It's the most beautiful time of the year in Montana, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Oh, I love family road trips. Wind in my ears.
Good dog.
Treats in my mouth. And peace of mind knowing Les Schwab did our tires, brakes, and alignment. Like Les Schwab, my family's safety is my first priority. Well, that and squeaky toys.
Swing by today and get road trip ready with our always free pre-trip safety check. Les Schwab Tires. Applies to passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks only. Details at leschwab.com/safety.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's producer Tommy from Nuanez Now. Did you know you don't even need a radio to listen to Nuanez Now? You can watch Nuanez Now all around the state of Montana on SWX television, channel 199 on Charter or 23.3 on terrestrial television. Plus, you can stream every minute of Nuanez Now live on YouTube. Tune into the stream on 1029ESPN.com or find ESPN Missoula on the TuneIn Radio app. 4 to 6 weekdays on 1029 ESPN Radio.
Football is back, and Nuanez Now has everything you need to know about the weekend for the Grizzlies, the Bobcats, around the Big Sky Conference, and around the Treasure State in the prep ranks, too. Join Colter Nuanez and other contributing guests for the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now, beginning at 4 p.m. for compelling analysis, interesting information, interviews, and more. The Montana Football Hour, the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now, beginning at 4 p.m. on 1029 ESPN Missoula and statewide on SWX Montana Television. The Montana Football Hour, presented by Stockman Bank of Montana.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Friday Night Lights made its much-anticipated return. The Frontier Conference kicked off its football season, and game week is officially underway for the Grizzlies and the Bobcats. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Football season is officially back around the Treasure State as high school and Frontier Conference action highlighted the final weekend of August. Among the top highlights of the prep slate included defending Class AA state champion Missoula Sentinel knocking off top-ranked Billings West in a 22-19 thriller at Washington Grizzly Stadium on Friday night in Missoula. West quarterback Isaiah Klotz hit lightning-fast receiver receiver Taco Dowler on a sweet backside screen pass, and Dowler did the rest, racing 55 yards for a touchdown to put West up 19-14 with 7 minutes to play. But Montana Grizz commit Zach Cruz, quarterback, sentinel to a scoring drive capped by a short touchdown run and a 2-point conversion with 3 minutes left to provide the final margin. Other Class AA scores included number 3 Helena High shutting out number 4 Great Falls High 22-0. The Frontier opened on Saturday. The College of Idaho beat Montana State Northern 42-14 in Havre. Montana Western knocked off Carroll College 25-22 in Helena. Rocky Mountain College defeated Southern Oregon 42-28 in Billings, and Eastern Oregon beat Montana Tech 26-24 in Butte. The Cats and the Grizz are officially preparing for opponents for the first time in years. Montana State opens up its season Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. against Wyoming and Laramie, and Montana opens its season Saturday night at 6 p.m. in Seattle against the University of Washington. Never felt so good wearing pants in August in my entire life. Had something to dress up for the first time in a long time. Welcome back. It's Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Montana, as well as SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez, Riley Corcoran, voice of the Grizz, in studio with me. It is the Northwest Motorsport studio. Northwest Motorsport boasts the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Check them out, nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. It's the first hour of a Monday show, which means that it's the Montana Football Hour. Montana Football Hour will break down the weekend that was, or in this case, preview the weekend that will be. We'll also give you some preview stuff each Monday as well, but mostly this will be where you're going to get your first look into the results for the Grizzlies, the Bobcats, high school football, and Frontier Conference, but a heavy emphasis on the Big Sky Conference teams in the state of Montana. The Montana Football Hour, proudly presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank, when you bank with Stockman, you receive personalized customer service, and your phone call is always answered by a live person. Stockman's highly skilled and personable bank staff is dedicated to making it easy for you to transfer your accounts and meeting all your overall financial needs. Blending tradition, Western values with modern conveniences and state-of-the-art technology, Stockman Bank provides time-tested products and services from people who truly care about you and your financial success. My good friend and the best in the biz, Riley Corcoran, the voice of the Grizz, will join me for the duration of this football season on Mondays. And we got some exciting news that I've been teasing for a while to share with you come around next week. But we will be having a pretty fun new Monday segment for the second hour as well. So we will definitely look forward to that. But Riley, before we get into a little bit more of the breakdown of these openers for the Bobcats and the Grizzlies, as specifically the Grizz, we just heard from Montana head coach Bobby Houck. Montana State, this is a fascinating storyline only because I can't really ever remember a scenario like this. You have a head coach in Brent Vigen who, first of all, took over a program in the midst of a pandemic, so that in itself makes it a strange circumstance. Takes over for a guy who was an enigma, to be sure, in Jeff Choate, but a guy that was as good in certain ways, particularly the drumming of the hype machine, as any coach I've ever been around, but also had some glaring deficiencies during his tenure, but left Montana State in a very good place with a lot of momentum coming into this year. But then you factor in that Vigen is a first-time head coach who spent the majority of his coaching career on Craig Bull's staff between North Dakota State and Wyoming. And oh, by the way, Vigen will coach in his first football game ever as a head coach against the school he was at for 7 years in Wyoming and the guy who he worked for almost 2 decades. Confluence of circumstances don't even begin to describe this.
I know, and I wonder really what's going through Brent Vigen's head.
I mean, he probably, when you're deep down in it, it would be so weird, right? I mean, this would be like Bobby Houck going against Rick Neuheisel. This is just totally crazy.
In game 1, 2, after never being a head coach at this level before, I mean, this game's going to be fascinating to watch just from the chess match perspective, right? And not only the unknowns that come with Montana State this year, I feel that, you know, the ceiling, we all know where it can be. The floor, who knows? I mean, there's just so much unknown with them. And coming in and facing Craig Bull, I want to flip it around on you a little bit. From Craig Bull's perspective, what do you think it's like? I mean, I would think Craig Bull would have a lot of confidence just because of all the things that we were talking about. Well, it's his first game and, got to show the kid the ropes or whatever it might be. But how would you flip it from Craig Bull's perspective? Because you're right. This is as unique of a matchup as you're getting here in week 1.
Well, that's where I think that the chess match is so fascinating because on one hand, you could say this is Craig Bull's 19th college football season as a head coach. And he also has coached in college football forever and ever and ever. I mean, he's a Tom Osborne disciple. He coached in Nebraska for years. He played for Osborne in Nebraska. And he's been a head coach since 2003. So it's not as if he's not experienced. But not only is Vigen playing against his former team, but that means that Wyoming has a new offensive coordinator in Tim Polasek, who has NDSU ties and comes to Wyoming from Iowa. Wyoming's defensive coordinator is only in his second year. And Taylor Housewright, the offensive coordinator at MSU, and Freddie Bakes, the defensive coordinator at MSU, have never called games before. So you have 3 guys calling plays at their school for the first time, including 2 guys that are calling plays for the first time ever. So there could be all sorts of mystery, or both these teams might know everything that the other team's doing, and it might just be a straight stalemate button heads.
I think it might be more the latter, to be honest with you. I think it might be just a good old-fashioned slobber knocker. And I think with what Montana State, the strength that they have, obviously, up front with their running game, that they're okay maybe playing that pace. And I think that the biggest question I have going into it is how much is Brent Vigen going to reveal in this game? How complex of a game plan is this going to be? Because you could look at it from a couple different lenses. And of course, let's just cut to it. Of course, everyone's trying to win. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but this is going to be a 3-week process, I feel, in the non-conference for Montana State to kind of reveal their identity and to try and find their identity and the question marks that they might have. And really for Brent Vigen, and more importantly, Coulter, I think for the coordinators. Brent Vigen, yes, it's his first time being a head coach, but you have 2 first-time coordinators as well. Everyone's new into this. There's going to be a lot of learning on the fly, adjustments from week to week, and that word right there is what leads me to probably the biggest difference in this game, adjustments. How will this new coaching staff for Montana State adjust on the fly when you go up against the experience and the size, everything that Wyoming has? And Wyoming's picked, by the way, in the top 4 of the Mountain West, so they're no slouch by any stretch, but the adjustments, I think, is going to be the biggest curve that this Bobcat team is going to have to at least figure out the first 3 games. They do have 2 non-scholarship teams at home in week 2 and week 3 that can maybe express some more signs for growth, but the adjustments. At halftime, when it's 13-7 at halftime, Craig Bull's going to make adjustments. Yep. How does Brent Vigen and his 2 first-time coordinators respond to that?
The key factor for Wyoming's success the last 2.5 seasons has been the health of Sean Chambers. Sean Chambers is supposed to be the next in the line of big, strong-armed, mobile quarterbacks recruited by Craig Bull and one, Brent Vigen. Chambers came in and won the job over a couple guys that were older than him. Tyler Vanderwall plays at Idaho State now because he saw the writing on the wall. He saw how good Sean Chambers was. Well, Chambers came in, went 3-0 as a starter as a freshman, and then took the starting job into his sophomore year. And in 2019, Wyoming was very good with Chambers. They were 6-1 going into the Nevada game, and then Chambers broke his foot, and he was out for the rest of the year. And Wyoming, I think, lost 4 out of their last 6. Then he comes back in the fall of 2020, and on the first series of the fall last fall, he broke his leg. And Wyoming finished 2-4. When Sean Chambers finishes the game at Wyoming, Wyoming's 9-2. He's officially 9-4 as a starter because they lost both games that he got hurt in the first quarter in. But he's 9-2 in games that he starts and finishes. So he is the key, and he's healthy right now. So I think that's going to be a huge factor as Montana State prepares for this game.
Well, and again, I am going to go back to the preseason poll here and what everyone that follows the Mountain West, how they feel. Who's the class of the Mountain West? There's no doubt it's Boise State.
Boise State, yeah.
Right? Well, there was people that picked Wyoming over Boise State.
Yeah.
In the Mountain Division of the Mountain West. So Wyoming is planning to have a good season as long as they can stay healthy. So this is quite the challenge out of the gates. And I think Wyoming has big-time aspirations to be a good team. And let's flip it around a little bit. Do you think Wyoming has maybe more added motivation here to, hey, try and stick it to Vigen here in game 1? Or, how much of that maybe comes into play? I'm sure everyone's going to play nice this week, but in regards, that could be another factor in this game.
It absolutely could. I was trying to think who actually has the bigger advantage? The guy who comes from the program and knows all of the players within it, or sort of the teacher going against the student? I think it's an equaling factor. I do think actually from a scouting perspective, Vigen has a bigger advantage because he recruited all the guys on the offense, or at least helped. He knows all the personnel, whereas Wyoming probably doesn't know as much about the personnel of Montana State. But I do think it's a real factor going against the guy who mentored you in the coaching business. Who would you call if you're a first-time head coach? You call the guy you worked for 18 years. Say, how do I go about this first game coaching? Any advice? Craig Bull's not answering the call this week.
Well, what do you think Vigen thought when he got hired? Because obviously he looked at this first game. I mean,
Vigen actually made an interesting comment. He said, hey, I actually kind of had already looked at Montana State on film quite a bit before this job came open because I knew they were our opener.
Oh, wow.
Doldrums of December and January, start watching film. He's like, man, I was thinking about how talented they look. And then all of a sudden the job came up. He's like, oh, I remember watching them. I'm going to go make a run at that thing. So I think he does have some in-depth knowledge for sure.
Well, I'm just very, very curious. I think everyone is too, of how Montana State's going to come out of the gate, just style of play, because, of course, everything's been closed, and I would do the same thing if I was a first-year head coach, too, with all sorts of newness here, is how much of the identity of this Bobcat team is last year's with Choate, and how much of it is the new wrinkle with Brent Vigen. If you had to forecast now, Coulter, because we won't hold you to it, of course, on August 30th, but how much of this, because, hey, you've said it multiple times, and you're not wrong here, that Montana State, at some positions, if not maybe just some units in general, has the best line in the Big Sky Conference. Yep. They have good running game, all of that stuff. How much, though, do you try to put your own imprint on it, and how much is it, hey, this first year or two, this car's already in place, I don't want to wreck it type deal?
Yeah, I think that the fact that there's been so long between the last time the Cats played and there was so long of the saga that was Jeff Choate maybe leaving and then actually leaving, and then there's been another 8 months for Brent Vigen to have his feet underneath him. All that's to say, I think Montana State, most of the question marks that they will face with the coaching change are going to start happening in mid-October and won't be really put on full display until next season. I think that the players are going to run this thing. The identity of the team is going to be determined by the players. How much can the senior leaders keep it between the rails? That's the biggest question mark for me. I think that these guys are motivated. They have as many guys that are super seniors and also elite players as any team in the league. And so I think that they're going to do it. I think it's going to be their way or the highway, honestly. And I don't think they're going to have much of an identity issue unless, though, as we know, the scope of a college football season, it's all about momentum and wanting to continue to play with each other. And that might sound funny, but people out there would have no idea, man. College sports these days, at what point does your team check out and just want to strangle each other? It happens so much, man. We see it in basketball, that is the defining factor. The teams that want to be playing when it's tournament time are the ones that look good, and the ones that don't, those are the ones that might be like the 3 or 4 seed that get just routed by 40.
What's the biggest variable in all that, though? It's expectations, right?
So
because
true.
if you have high expectations and you maybe fall short of those early, you could have an early checkout period, and that's when disaster comes. And if you don't really have expectations coming in and you're one of these teams flying under the radar, you're more apt to maybe stay on pace all the way through it. And so for Montana State, to me, they're kind of in the middle, right? You could see them being the best team in this league, but also if things don't go right with a tough schedule, a lot of tough road games, if they lose a couple, maybe they're not supposed to, where is the locker room at? And I think that's going to be fascinating for all of us to watch. I think it's pretty safe to say in their non-conference that they'll be a big underdog this week. They'll be a hefty favorite. Their next 2 games, 2-1, kind of rolling into an easier start to conference play before things really kick into gear in the middle of October. So this will be a fun team to watch in the sense of they're the ultimate X factor in this league where they could certainly be in the top 2, and we've talked about maybe a team in the top 4 that could fall flat, and there's just a lot of factors that go to it. I think the biggest question mark for people that haven't been following Montana State that I want to ask you is, what are your expectations early on for Matt McKay at quarterback? Because that's the one position has kind of held Montana State back from being that championship team. What are your expectations maybe early, and do they progress towards the end of the year for Matt McKay?
Nuanez now Montana Football Hour. Riley Corcoran, voice of the Grizz, joining me, Coulter Nuanez. More on the Bobcats, more on the Grizzlies, and we'll hear from Brent Vigen. Keep it right here at ESPN Radio. Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now, here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. It's a complicated real estate market right now. What do you think is the biggest challenge?
This is a real tough market for buyers because what we have right now is an unprecedented lack of available options, low supply. You have to be extra competitive. You've got to make your first offer your strongest offer. Experts like myself in this market can really help people do that.
Call Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team at 529-4663 today. The University of Montana men's basketball team has provided the Missoula community with thrills and excitement over the last decade, advancing to the NCAA tournament 5 times, including playing the big dance twice under current head coach Travis DeCuire. On September 9th, come support the Grizz by playing in the annual Round Ball Golf Classic at the Ranch Club. The entry fee for the Scramble tournament is $225 per person, or $900 for the team of 4, while proceeds go to the Round Ball Club, which helps Grizz hoops carry on their winning tradition.
Save 12% on in-stock flooring, plus get 12-month financing at the Carpet Garage. For 3 days only, Friday, Saturday, and Monday, save 12% in every flooring department. Carpet, vinyl, laminates, hardwood, LVT, and area rugs. This is a limited-time opportunity to save money on famous brand flooring. It's all in stock. Take it home the same day. 12% savings and 12-month financing. Friday, Saturday, and Monday, only at the Carpet Garage.
The Carpet Garage, located across from Lithia Motors off Airway Boulevard in Missoula.
All Montana children deserve to be protected and supported. Help is now available for Montana's foster youth who exited foster care since January 2020. Assistance can be used to help pay for housing, transportation, clothing, and more for youth impacted by the public health emergency. To learn more, please call or text 406-202-5950 or email fosterhelp@mt.gov. That's 406-202-5950 or email fosterhelp@mt.gov. Brought to you by DPHHS.
When it comes to your health, and particularly your medication, it's important to know that the folks helping fill your prescriptions care about you. Lolo Drug is a locally owned and operated pharmacy located at 103 Glacier Drive in Lolo, where pharmacist Corey and his team will always treat you like their neighbors. Skip the long lines and the impersonal service. Instead, let Lolo Drug let you feel like you matter, because you do. Lolo Drug, your friendliest neighborhood pharmacy located off of Highway 93 on Glacier Drive in Lolo.
Like most Montanans, we love a good steak. And because we're the Montana Club, we take the steaks we serve very seriously. We're confident to say that our custom grilled steaks are as good a steak as you're going to get. Now we're proud to add regionally sourced, naturally raised Castle Rock bison ribeye to our selection. And remember, the Montana Club steak entrees include the sides. Come into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled steak experience. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
1, 2, 3. Nuanez now on ESPN Radio.
For a 3-hour show for about, every day that I've ever worked here. And now I feel like we need a 4-hour show because we have so much good content for you. Welcome back. It's Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Missoula, as well as SWX Montana TV around the great state of Montana. My good friend and colleague, Riley Corcoran, the voice of the Grizz, in studio with me, Colter Nuanez. And as we will do, the first hour of every Monday's show, it is the Montana Football Hour, giving you all the best in coverage from border to border around the Treasure State. We're going to hear from Montana State head coach Brent Vigen here in just a moment. Heard from Bobby Houck earlier here in the Montana Football Hour. But Riley, to answer your question, you were talking about Matt McKay. Matt McKay is a former 4-star quarterback from Raleigh, North Carolina. He spent a couple years at North Carolina State. I started a handful of games there at North Carolina State. We always talk about on this show, there's broadly 4 main reasons why guys transfer. They either went to the wrong level and they just can't really play at that level. There's a coaching change. There's something with their family where somebody gets sick or they're homesick or something draws them back to closer to home, or they get hurt. And then there's always the guy that, maybe has a over-elevated sense of himself, the prima donna. But honestly, in this day and age of college sports, especially college football, there's more factors than just, I think I'm good. Like the guy that ends up at 5 schools, it's possible and it happens, but particularly at the Montana schools, you kind of have to be looking for your next opportunity or maybe your last opportunity, especially if you're going to come from the other side of the country. Well, then the one factor, though, I think factors in with quarterbacks from the Power 5 level is when a coach is feeling the heat and he starts rolling a quarterback carousel to make the administration make it look like he's doing all the things to save his job. Dakota Prukop was pretty good at Oregon. He got benched because Mark Helfrich thought he was going to lose his job. He rolls with the freshman and Justin Herbert, which in retrospect looks like a great decision, but Helfrich still lost his job. It's the same thing with Dave Dorn at NC State. They ended up saving it, but they were sort of riding a roller coaster, and Matt McKay got caught in the wash. He was good. He won. He went 3-1 as a starter, and then, the only loss being to Florida State, and then he kind of got railroaded out of there. So to answer your question, how do I think that Matt McKay will do at Montana State? I think McKay is a big, strong, dynamic leader, but I also think the fact that he is so far away from home and he's been stuck in Bozeman during a COVID year will actually benefit him. Because if you listen to the offensive coordinator and you listen to Taylor Housewright and you listen to Brent Vigen, he's done nothing but sit around and watch film. Matt McKay told me, he's like, dude, I don't have a life. I don't even know what's going on in Bozeman. I just hang out in the football offices, which is probably not the greatest thing for your holistic growth as a man, but it's a good thing for your quarterback play. So I do think that he should be just fine.
Well, we'll see right away, too, because he's going up against a pretty good unit in Wyoming, and it'll just, with the style of play, and again, I have not done the film breakdown on NC State when he was a quarterback there, but just with the strength of what MSU has. I am just as fascinated with everyone as I've kind of highlighted here the last 15 minutes or so. I'm curious of how the Cats are going to come out of the gate. What's the philosophy? How are things different? How are things the same? How does McKay change who they are? Just all of those things. It'll be fun to watch in week one as both of these teams evolve because, again, both of these squads, Coulter, and you look at the FBS versus the FCS, and I think for good reason, Montana and Montana State are both being kind of highlighted as teams that could be respectable, I think, in their games on Saturday to maybe push their competition, their level of competition. Although Wyoming, a team that doesn't have a ranking next to them, they are highly thought of in the Mountain West. Then you look at Montana, obviously they're playing a team that thinks they can win the Pac-12 in Washington. But another factor that goes into that game, the Huskies, the ultimate trap game. They play at the Big House next week at Michigan, ABC, primetime TV. I don't think they're giving Montana as much time as they're giving Michigan right now.
I can already tell you that this Montana football hour is going to roll over into hour number 2, so have no fear because we still do have plenty to talk about with the Grizzlies and the Bobcats, but we have spent a little bit of time here on Montana State because we spent so much time on the outstanding high school football game that Riley got a chance to call on Friday. So in the name of, as Dan Levitard would say, paying the bills, here is Montana State head coach Brent Vigen. Just a couple thoughts as he returns to face his old squad in Wyoming in his debut as Montana State's head coach.
Well, certainly experience. I think that's the first one. Any of the positions across the board, with maybe the exception of punter, those kids have all played in games, and a lot of them played a ton of football. They have depth because of all that experience, and I think that would be the first thing. I think offensively, from a running perspective, Xavier Valadez is a tremendous back, but there's a couple guys behind him, Trey Smith. Titus Swen, they can roll a few guys at you. Quarterbacks can run, and O-line. I think the experience up there speaks for itself. Defensively, I think it'll be interesting. A lot of the guys up front didn't play last year. I know I was there, obviously. We were thin up front, but those guys that played did a tremendous job. And, the guys that didn't play last year, so I think the front seven in particular will be very vulnerable. So, it's obviously a unique situation where I know as much about them as I do, and trying to help our guys out as much as I can. We just have to go out there and still go out there and play and get everything we have now.
Brent Vigen has spent 18 seasons with Craig Bowl, including 7 at Wyoming, the previous 7 leading up to last fall. So what's it like scouting a team he's so familiar with? Montana State head coach Brent Vigen right here during the Montana Football Hour on Nuanez Now.
Well, it's unique for me in my career. We've played against some people that I've coached with, or some of those ideas have maybe overlapped from time to time. But as far as this situation, it is extremely unique. And I think the schemes aside, I think you know the knowledge of the players, the individuals, the talent, the ability, I think is whether it's helpful or not, you know who they are and what they can do. They can really pose problems. So we're trying to utilize that to the best of our ability. I know conversely they'll have a good sense for what we are schematically for sure. And I think it's just we got to get our guys out there and let them play and go after it, play as hard as they can.
Many of these players, Brent Vigen had a hand in recruiting, and many of them are honors candidates, including Sean Shavers, the quarterback, and Chad Mumma, the linebacker. Brent Vigen's thoughts on his in-depth and intimate knowledge of the Wyoming roster.
It's a lot of accolades for a lot of guys, and it's a situation where, I'm going to, anything I can share with our guys that's going to help our guys succeed on Saturday, I'm going to share with them.
You mentioned just sort of the strangeness about coaching against Coach Bowl, but he's been a head coach for a really long time and had a lot of success as a head coach. What sort of things have you taken from him or learned from him as now you embark on your first season as a head coach?
Well, I guess certainly relative to this matchup, making it about the guys, not getting caught up. I think he's done a great job of that over the years. Making it about just that, getting our players ready to go, and certainly not becoming the focal point of much of anything. So I know I learned that. I know, a prepared team is the best one that has a chance to win, best one that has a chance to be in a game in the fourth quarter. And I think, get your team to believe. And I think those things, no matter what team that we had the past 18 seasons that I worked with him, I think every Saturday we showed up with a team that believed, and that's our charge this week, is to get the Bobcats to believe we can go down there and not only be in the game but win the game. So I threw a bunch of things at you there, Coulter, but that's my best answer.
So you go, Brent Vigen here on Nuanez Now, Montana State head football coach. Plenty more from Coach Vigen coming up throughout the week, as well as plenty more from Bobby Houck. We'll also be joined tomorrow for our Grizz Star of the Week by Cam Humphrey, Montana quarterbacks. We'll look forward to that. Thus concludes the first Montana Football Hour of the renewed season. But we're going to continue to talk college football and NFL football in hour number 2, the Montana Football Hour, proudly presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. As Montana's brand of banking, Stockman Bank is a proud sponsor of both Grizz and Bobcat athletics. Good luck to the Grizzlies and the Bobcats as you commence on the fall football season in 2021. Thanks to all the players and coaches for your hard work and dedication. Go Grizz, go Bobcats. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming at you hot. What are some of the biggest questions and storylines going to the openers for both the Bobcats and the Grizzlies? Who are some of the betting favorites in the AFC? And what do the big boys have to say? Alex Gubner and Eli Alford. All that and more. Keep it right here. ESPN Radio. Do you want to take your golf game to the next level? To be the best you can be on the links, knowing the course is essential. At Canyon River Golf Course, they have a brand new fleet of golf carts complete with the Shark Experience, a state-of-the-art GPS system that offers precise distance-to-pin measurements, hole flyovers, pro tips, and more. In addition, music and entertainment choices provide any golfer with all you need to thrive at Canyon River. Located in East Missoula, Canyon River offers a championship golf experience set on a beautiful, immaculately curated course. For more information, visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com today. Troy McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Ready to step up your hair game, but just not quite sure where to go? Well, look no further than Compass Barbershop, a modern barbershop for everyone, where they can help you find a style that's right for you. They offer precision scissor cuts and fades in a unique and inclusive atmosphere. Compass Barbershop has it all, including convenient online booking at compassbarber.com, or you can just stop by any day of the week. You can also check out Compass Barbershop on Facebook or Instagram. Find your way to Compass Barbershop, downtown on the Hip Strip, at the corner of modern and retro.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
In Italian, tagliere means to cut in two. How fitting, because when you visit Tagliere Deli, Missoula's best sandwiches are so mountainous, you'll certainly need to cut them in half. From the Food Network to the best of Missoula, the public has spoken, and Tagliere Deli in Missoula has the best sandwiches in the entire Garden City. If you haven't tried Tagliere or you're craving a delicious sandwich, either stop into the deli located next to the roundabout at Higgins and Beckwith, or tune in to Nuanez Now every Tuesday for your chance to win. Tagliere Deli and ESPN Missoula providing you free sandwiches every Tuesday.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Friday Night Lights made its much-anticipated return. The Frontier Conference kicked off its football season, and game week is officially underway for the Grizzlies and the Bobcats. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Football season is officially back around the Treasure State as high school and Frontier Conference action highlighted the final weekend of August. Among the top highlights of the prep slate included defending Class AA state champion Missoula Sentinel knocking off top-ranked Billings West in a 22-19 thriller at Washington Grizzly Stadium on Friday night in Missoula. West quarterback Isaiah Klotz hit lightning-fast receiver Taco Dowler on a sweet backside screen pass, and Dowler did the rest, racing 55 yards for a touchdown to put West up 19-14 with 7 minutes to play. While Montana Grizz commit Zach Cruz, quarterback Sentinel, to a scoring drive capped by a short touchdown run and a 2-point conversion with 3 minutes left to provide the final margin. Other Class AA scores included number 3 Helena High shutting out number 4 Great Falls High 22-0. The Frontier opened on Saturday. The College of Idaho beat Montana State Northern 42-14 in Havre. Montana Western knocked off Carroll College 25-22 in Helena. Rocky Mountain College defeated Southern Oregon 42-28 in Billings, and Eastern Oregon beat Montana Tech 26-24 in Butte. The Cats and the Grizz are officially preparing for opponents for the first time in years. Montana State opens up its season Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. against Wyoming and Laramie, and Montana opens its season Saturday night at 6 p.m. in Seattle against the University of Washington. Montana. Hope you have an outstanding Monday. I couldn't be better. Been sweating since I woke up. That's just because we've been running around, and gosh dang, it's good to be running around again. Nuanez now, your one-stop shop for all things sports, particularly the great sport of football, particularly the great sport of college football. We do this every single weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on ESPN Radio as well as SWX Montana Television. Just got done with the Montana Football Hour. If you missed anything in the Montana Football Hour, you can find it on the podcast. Please rate, review, subscribe, all those good things. Nuanez Now podcast, proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana, Blackfoot Communications, and the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Speaking of podcasts, Big Sky Breakdown back in action. Haven't had any Big Sky Breakdown since Riley and I were kicking it in Indianapolis back in March and April. I guess I had a couple during spring football, but good to be back in the flow of the routine. As always, SkylineSportsMT.com. That's where you'll find the full duration of the press conferences for both Montana State head coach Brent Vigen and Montana head coach Bobby Hauck. So be sure to go check out the Big Sky Breakdown as well. We're going to talk a little bit about NFL and some betting stuff here in just a minute, but I want to talk a few more thoughts just about the Bobcats and the Grizzlies. Riley, the University of Montana just released its depth chart. Not a ton of surprises. Although it's missing a position, but that's here and over there. But there will be 11 starters on offense on Saturday against Washington. I promise you that.
You mean they're not going to roll 10 out there?
I do think that.
Okay.
I do think though, sometimes coaches gravitate towards into quote unquote coach speak, or they're talking outside their mouth to protect certain secrets or whatever. But when Bobby Hauck says we don't really have starters or name starters, it's true. I think that when you look at this depth chart, I think there's only probably like 3, 4, 5 guys on here that are probably going to play most of the snaps at their given positions. Defensively, I think every single guy on there is going to rotate. And it might be a different level of percentage, but I think that almost every guy is going to get on the two deep is going to see at least a little bit of action.
There's probably one position, not to jump in, but
sure,
one position probably.
What do you think? Which one do you think?
And that's Robbie Hauck's free safety position.
Right, yeah.
I would say, Jackson Lee, they love Jackson Lee, but I think in all possible, they try to preserve that red shirt maybe, and really Robbie Hauck, that's probably the one that you're going to see. They're going to rotate a ton. Defense, linebacker-wise, you're going to see 5 to 6 guys, and we already know on the line, we've talked about that. You're going to see 8 to 9 probably. On the offensive side of things, Cam Humphrey is probably one of those guys that, yes, he's going to see the majority of the reps. Cole Grossman, you probably won't see him come off the field very much at tight end, and then probably your tackle spots, to be honest with you. Conlon Beaver and Dylan Cook. I think that they're probably going to rotate on the 3 interior spots. So, yeah, you're pretty spot on. I think 4 to 5 guys are probably the only ones that you would signify as starters. And much like you, I've learned with Coach Hauck as well, I don't really ask him much about who's going to start and who's not, because there's more competition. You highlighted this well when we were talking during fall camp. The competition here is to make this too deep. Because if you make this too deep, you need to be ready to go every single play. And that's kind of what these guys are competing for, why fall camp's so big here in Missoula.
They also determine their depth chart a lot on special teams.
Yes.
By the two deep as well. There's a little bit of a formula to it. There's a few guys where, okay, you're really good at this, so we're going to put you on kick team or whatever. But mostly it's like if you are the number 2 inside linebacker or whatever, that means you're the number 1 at R4 on the kick team or whatever, right? So making the two deep also gets you on the field in that form or fashion as well.
It does, and I think a lot of people would be surprised at maybe a couple of things. Maybe that Justin Ford is not starting at cornerback. I think that would raise some eyebrows for a couple people, but Omar Hicsono and Corbin Walker have been really good, so it doesn't surprise me too much. I think another position that you look at and kind of raise your eyebrows is probably running back and tight end, because the top 2 on the depth chart for both those positions are freshmen. And this is something that we can get into as the season progresses. People, it's everyone's favorite question to me, which I love, of course. And who's your breakout star? What's your biggest surprise? Well, I think Cole Grossman's been used up. The secret's out there. Cole Grossman looks the part, as you guys have talked about. It's on SkylineSportsMT.com. I read the article last night from Andrew again during my prep. He's spot on. Cole Grossman is bound for a great season. Watch out for Eric Barker behind him. He's kind of a hidden gem, I think, on this squad.
He was a big recruit coming out of high school.
Huge. Kaiser, Oregon. He's going to be good. But to me, biggest surprise is at the running back spot. I think a lot of people might have concern going, oh my goodness, 2 freshmen and Xavier Harris and Isaiah Childs. I'd spin that around. I think that could be the biggest surprise. I love both of these kids in the sense of they have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove, and they're pushing each other each day. Hey, no one thought Marcus Knight was going to come in here and shatter Chase Reynolds' records in his first year as a sophomore. So who's not saying that one of these 2 guys can come in, or hey, the 2 of them can platoon at least early on and be just as productive. So I'd probably go as the tailback position could be the biggest surprise here for the Grizz, if one that you might think would be concerned coming into the season.
It's also worth noting that's just the biggest plug-and-play position in football. I've always found it actually I actually get this from my brother, but Brooks is always talking about how if you don't have a bunch of dudes at running back, what is going on? Because to be quite frank, man, like there's more players that are Division I caliber at running back than any other position in the country. I mean, there is so many Division I guys. I mean, starting running back at Kalispell Glacier or Lake Travis High School, like there's dudes all over the place, different shapes and sizes to be sure, but you don't have to be 6'5" like on the offensive line, or you don't have to be, long and lean like on the D line or any of these things. Like if you can just be a pretty normal sized guy who's tough and has good vision and can run. So what I'm saying is that the thing that is going to be holding these guys back is only nerves. They have the talent. Like you can cultivate better skill and better fundamentals and all those things at all the other positions on the football field. And it's not to say that you don't do that at running back, but some of the basics of playing running back, you're going to be ready to roll right away. And Isaiah Childs, first of all, Xavier Harris was a great recruit out of Oxnard, California. People are concerned about his size, but his explosiveness makes up for it. He's also got great vision and patience. But Isaiah Childs is a dude. He's a stud. He looks absolutely different. Yeah, he looks completely different. He does not look like a freshman.
No, he doesn't. Standing at 6'1", it's almost that he towers over everyone else, at least on the running back room. And he's someone that can make an immediate impact. And when you look into his story a bit more, you kind of go, okay, well, why did he fall out of grace at Akron? It was nothing bad whatsoever. It's his desire, Coulter, to stay at running back. Kansas State offered him. They wanted him to play linebacker. He said, no, I'm a running back. Akron came in as a running back. Knew his position coach left. Wanted him to switch to linebacker. No, I'm a running back. And the Grizz say, yeah, we think you're a running back. So he has something to prove here, and especially at this level. He's a guy that could be playing at Kansas State against Oklahoma and Texas.
From Manhattan, Kansas, right?
Yes, exactly. So to go up against Washington, I think he's going to embrace this opportunity. And I'll go a step further. I'm not nervous or worried about these guys from just a ball-carrying perspective, where the nerves are going to come in picking up blitzes, pass blocking, catching the ball in the backfield. Those things are going to be maybe the adjustment period for these 2 freshmen. But as far as carrying the football, I'm more than confident that the 2 of them can certainly do the task.
Nuanez now 102.9 ESPN Missoula, SWX Montana Television. I'm Coulter Nuanez, Riley Corcoran, the voice of the Grizz, joining me in studio. We'll do this each Monday together for the next couple months. So we're excited about that. Transitioning, Anya, to the NFL. All football, all the time, presented by Sportsbet Montana. Sportsbet Montana is an awesome addition to the sporting landscape here in Montana. There's kiosks at most of your favorite establishments, restaurants and bars, and it's really fun to go make the bets. Also, when you're betting on site in the establishment, you got to go there to get the geofencing to use on your Sportsbet Montana app. And if you go home and do it, that's fine. You're just going to have to come back in to cash in. But it is fun. If you're going down on a Sunday, for example, to watch some NFL, making the bets live and in person, and then if you win, you get the money right there, and you can buy yourself a pitcher of beer or whatever. But Sportsbet Montana, the kiosks are all over the place, and they're very user-friendly, very easy to use. But right now, the NFL kicks off its season next Thursday when the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers open up. I guess that's actually the close of the preseason, right? And then the actual season starts on the 12th. Week 1 officially underway Sunday the 12th.
No,
Is it? Do I have it right? Okay,
okay. No, preseason was over last night.
Okay, so this is the opener.
Yep,
okay, sorry.
And they also, which is great, I feel that the week they cut out, because now there's only 3 preseason games instead of 4, next week, the week that no one pays attention because there's college football, it's done. There's no more preseason. So the next game will be an NFL game that counts week 1, and that Thursday night, Cowboys-Bucks.
So Sportsbet Montana it's fun to bet on games, in games, betting the spreads and the money lines and the over-unders. That's all fun. And, I had some fun betting a little bit of college football over the weekend. It's great. But one of my favorite things to do, it's not going to give you the instant gratification, but it's the long game. And it's making some futures bets. And I like the divisional bets. I like picking maybe my top 2 or 3 divisional winners. Let's say, just for sake of conversation, the Rams, the Ravens, and the Vikings. And make a little 3-team parlay and then putting some money on the division winner, and then you track it throughout the year.
So you can put those together.
Yes, and I like that a lot. Okay. So I think some of those division winning parlays, also some of the individual player statistical parlays, like Kyler Murray throwing for more than 3,500 yards, and Chris Godwin having over 1,000 yards receiving. Those are fun little parlays to make too. Parlays, if those of you that don't know, that's where you combine 2 bets and it ups your odds. You got to hit both to win, but if you're pretty certain about it, sometimes you can combine a couple. So a lot of times I make 3-team parlays too within games of Sundays, where the 3 surefire wins. Just bet the money line of the 3 that you think are going to be certain, and then you're not necessarily getting those minus 360 odds or whatever. You can actually get it down to get yourself like a plus 150 and make a little bit of money. So go check out Sportsbet Montana kiosks and download the Sportsbet Montana app. Riley, it seems to me as if the AFC has a variety of contenders. And the fact that some of those contenders make their homes in cities like Buffalo, New York, and Cleveland, Ohio, it makes me feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. But that's just broadly. That's just sort of the history influencing our thoughts on things. Because when you look at the actual teams, the Bills were lights out last year. They made it all the way to the conference championship game. I think that the Browns got something cooking with Kevin Stefanski. He is a new age, new type of coach
He's not Freddie Kitchens.
He is not Freddie Kitchens. He is not like very many coaches in the NFL, period. He's very soft-spoken, very analytical. But it seems like his players just love him. And it's sort of ironic that they have some of the most in-your-face players in the league, like Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham. But maybe they need Stefanski to even them out. So let's start with those 2 teams. Are you buying or selling the hype surrounding these 2 largely moribund franchises that are all of a sudden now expected to be pretty dang good and maybe even contend for the AFC title?
I am buying both. I think that for a variety of reasons, and I think that it's fascinating too, coming into it, right, 5 years ago, Bills and the Browns were laughing stocks, right? I mean, all the way through, and now they're considered favorites. So it's kind of a changing of the guard, where AFC East, it was always the Patriots, AFC North, it was either the Steelers or the Ravens. Well, the tide has flipped. Managing expectations is going to be maybe the hardest part. I like the Bills maybe more because of the division they play in. I think that it's a little bit weaker. That, yes, everyone loves talking about the Patriots, but in reality, it sounds like to me they're going to go with a rookie quarterback. And Mac Jones might be great, but it's probably not going to be this year. The Dolphins don't know what they're doing at quarterback right now. Are they bailing on Tua or not? The Jets are going to be terrible. So I think the Bills have a real chance to compete with Kansas City for the number 1 seed. I think they do, just because the fact they're divisional games, of course they have 6 of them. They could make some hay there. For Cleveland, I still think Baltimore is going to have something to say about who wins the AFC North. I mean, it seems to me, and I think Cleveland, I'm probably talking out of both sides of my mouth here, Coulter, but I feel Cleveland deserves the hype. But I also feel that everyone now is dismissing Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. And I think that's a huge mistake. It's a catastrophic mistake, where I think that these 2 teams are going to push each other all the way through. So I think Cleveland's legit. And actually, yes, this is crazy. Doing prep last night, I watched a little bit of their preseason game against Atlanta, and they just look like a confident bunch. They don't look like a team that is a bunch of misfits that's just trying to make their way. And it seemed at times, maybe when they traded for Odell Beckham and they had kind of a young Baker Mayfield that hadn't really learned the ropes yet, are you really confident they can put it together? I think they have, and they've established up front, which I know that you love too. So I guess the long answer to your short question is yes, I buy both of these teams as being probably the top 2 contenders to Kansas City in the AFC.
Nuanez now 102.9 ESPN Missoula, SWX Montana Television. It's all football all the time. Our twice-weekly NFL segment presented in part by Sportsbet Montana. You want to watch some games when the NFL opens up? Well, head on down to the Silver Slipper, because the Silver Slipper not only has 55 TVs for you to watch all the action, they also have a Sportsbet Montana kiosk. Silver Slipper offers drink specials every day, 20 keno machines, a liquor store, and pizza. There's nowhere else. You should be watching your favorite team at the Slipper. It's all about great food, tasty drinks, and the urge to have a good time. Stop by today and see why the Silver Slipper, which is across the Brook Street on Walmart, is one of Montana's best-kept secrets. The Ravens are so interesting to me because they have among the best organizational stability of anybody in the league. It's actually fascinating to think because for 20 years, it was the Patriots, the Giants, and the Steelers that always had organizational stability. Then all of a sudden, the Steelers drank some weird Kool-Aid and decided they weren't going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. They were going to try to throw for 5,000 yards and have Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell as this greatest show on turf. And it's like, what the hell's going on? And then they didn't win anything. And it's Pittsburgh, man. It's supposed to be run the ball and play defense. That's it.
You got guys sitting out week 17. You have locker room turmoil. Yes.
Antonio Brown's making Facebook Live videos of behind Mike Tomlin's back. I mean, what a circus. Yeah. What a disaster. The Giants went from the organization that was just, boom, steadfast, knew exactly what we were getting for 40 years, to just a wreck. And the Patriots, TB12 and Bill Belichick have their divorce, and then they're just a complete calamity last year, too. And so now it's kind of like the Ravens are the ones that are still holding the flag, but they have just sort of digressed in overall talent. I know they have some great players defensively still, including probably one of the better sets of corners in the league, Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. But they don't have necessarily that lights-out front seven that they used to have. Their offensive line is still very good. Their quarterback is electric. He doesn't have a lot of weapons around him, but they still have a proven coach. And more than anything, though, not a lot of internal turmoil.
No, not a lot of internal turmoil, but also the biggest blow, and I think that's probably the biggest piece of NFL news from the preseason, is J.K. Dobbins going down for the year. And that is going to hurt them immensely. And I guess if you're sitting in the Cleveland camp, you're going, all right, well, maybe we have a chance, at least in that regard. But I still think Baltimore, you cannot count these guys out. And they're a team, too, Coulter, that they might go through a 3 or 4 week lull during the season, and people will probably sell stock even more. But if they get in the playoffs as the number 7 seed, and yes, I said 7, for those out there that are just getting back in the swing of things, there are 7 teams that make the playoffs on both sides now.
Because there's 17 games. I'm never going to get over this. If you're betting over-under win totals, by the way,
17.
Remember that there's 17 games.
Don't take every under.
Exactly. And also have some sympathy for me, too, because the gauge of a 16-game season, whether it's a 9-7 record or a 10-6, when I say that team's going to be a 10-win team and an 11-win team, add 1 to it, because I'm still stuck. I can't get over that it's a 17-game year.
Well, I feel it's the same way, too, FCS football, when the one year they play 12. Remember in the calendar, it's like 1 out of every 7 years they play 12 games instead of 11. Kind of the same deal as far as from a mental block. But, yes, it will be something to see with 7 teams getting in. And Baltimore, if they get in, no one's going to want to play them. No one will want to play Lamar Jackson in a 2-7 matchup. So Baltimore's just that team that's going to lurk all season long, and if they put the pieces in place because of their organization being strong, because they have a good coach, because they have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, they're going to be a tough out no matter what.
The AFC North is the best division in the AFC, right?
Yes, it is.
I think there's 3 playoff contenders there with the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers. And I do think the Bengals are probably going to be better.
They're not going to be a doormat anymore.
They have good skill. Yes. They just have to be able to keep Joe Burrow upright.
Whew.
Right, I know. It's the part about the NFL. That's why I'm always banging on the drum, man. It's the part that the talking heads at the national level, they don't get you. They don't give you the offensive line analysis. If you have a bad offensive... Andrew Houghton, our new associate here, Skyline Sports, as well as ESPN, he and I were talking the other day because he got the new Madden. And I was looking at the graphics and watching it. And we were having a laugh because the pass rush in the NFL and the blitz schemes that they run are so ferocious that you literally can't even simulate them in a video game. Usually say video games are the unrealistic version of the game, except for when it comes to the front 7 play on a video game. The NFL guys are so freakish, it still can't be replicated. When you watch the wide 22 film or whatever, when it's behind the quarterback at the NFL level, I can't imagine being an NFL quarterback, man. It is frightening.
This is an off-topic question, but kind of relevant because NBC has talked about incorporating this. Would you like to see that camera angle?
No question.
More than the traditional camera angle?
No question,
or at least
man.
mix it up. I'd like to see maybe a mix of it more. I still like the traditional for obvious reasons, but yes, it would be nice to see, especially when these analysts, which we all do, everyone falls in love with the quarterback. Well, what's the quarterback seeing? Tell me what the back end is looking like, because that tells the story. And back to your point about Cincy, biggest question mark in the entire draft was them going wide receiver with the 5th overall pick. Jamar Chase, he might be great, and yes, he has rapport with Joe Burrow, but if Burrow goes down again, I don't care how good Jamar Chase is. You're going to go back and look at this and say, why didn't we take Penny Sewell or someone else in the first round?
So then the narrative of the AFC East has changed.
The NFC okay,
the AFC East has changed so much because for 20 years, it was the Patriots just walking to the playoffs, and now it's not. The Bills are the favorites. I think the Dolphins are right there with the Patriots because the Patriots have regressed. I think the Dolphins are pretty good. I think Flores is doing a great job. The North is probably going to be the best division in the AFC, but then you have the South and the AFC West. So is there anybody in either of those two divisions that you're buying as a contender other than the Kansas City Chiefs? Because I know the Chiefs are going to be good, but where are we at with – see, I think that the AFC is going to come down to who's the best out of that group that includes the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Chargers, and probably your Denver Broncos.
I would actually go the Titans. Of all those teams, I think the Titans could be legit. I know this wait-and-see approach on the Colts where you hear all the talking heads out there that they've got the best roster. They just need Carson Wentz to stay healthy. I'm going to take the wait-and-see approach. I think that right now they're kind of a middle-of-the-road team in a subpar division. They could get hot late, but Tennessee's got all the pieces. They do. I mean, with Derrick Henry, if you keep him healthy the entire time, watch out. Tannehill has proven that he's more than just an average quarterback that he was in Miami.
Sure.
So I kind of think the AFC South, the Titans for the taking, they get a home game, things go their way. I'm not going to pull a Rainey on here and make everybody listen to my, what I think about Denver. The fact of the reality is, when I was growing up, Denver was in the playoffs all the time. They haven't made the playoffs in 5 years. Do I think that they're on the upward trajectory? Yeah, I do. But to say they're going to go more than 9-8 would be an absolute homer statement, and I will just stick with 9-8 or 8-9 for Denver right now.
There's no way that Derrick Henry can replicate his last two years, right?
Who's gonna stop him? I mean, come on.
I totally agree. I've done this plenty of times on here, but I'll do it again. I'll eat crow again. I was so wrong about Derrick Henry. It's unbelievable. I think if we actually could find it, it would be embarrassing for me. But I had a full rant towards the end of his rookie year. It was like 6 weeks left in his rookie season where I was talking about I thought there was no chance he was ever going to be an elite runner. Then he rushed for about 1,000 yards to end that month to end his rookie year. And he's rushed for about 4,000 yards since then. He is a freak of nature, man. He is a machine. It's disturbing, honestly, to watch him run the football.
Sometimes, Coulter, you take big swings, and big swings result in big misses. It's okay.
I was still, though, even though he is second to none, really, when it comes to power backs in the history of the NFL already. I mean, he's got multiple 1,800-yard-plus seasons. It's hard to say that he's not right there with some of the great power backs for a short period of time ever in the league. That said, no one is immortal, man. 378 carries last year. I mean, it's the most tried and true statistic in the history of the league. There's only been, I think, 6 running backs ever that had back-to-back 350 carry seasons, excuse me. Go show me what happened to Jamal Lewis after those two. Yeah. What happened to Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Earl Campbell. It doesn't matter who you are, man. Big tree fall hard. I just think that there's going to be a moment in time where the tread starts wearing out on his tires.
What's the average shelf life of an NFL running back? It's like 5 years.
Exactly.
If that. I want to ask you one question before we go out on this. From a neutral standpoint, because you can't ask me or Rainey on this. AFC West, who will take second in that division?
Man, so we're assuming that the Chiefs are going to win.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Who? I mean, I would see the Chiefs as a 13-14 win team, and then Denver, Vegas, and the Chargers. Someone could win 9 or 10. I don't know who that could be. It could be either one of those three, in my opinion.
So I want to counter with a question. Why is Josh Jacobs' stock took such a huge hit?
I'm not sure on that either, because I'd be a guy that should hate the Raiders. I love Josh Jacobs.
I think he's really
he's amazing.
good.
Is it more of a byproduct of less confidence in Derek Carr, more attention on Jacobs? I really can't understand that.
I did my first of several fantasy drafts last night. It was an auction-style draft, and
did you get him for a good
Well, I actually didn't get him, but he was going for such a low value, which I was so surprised by.
That blows me away.
Yeah, me too. I was just very confused. I just thought maybe I missed a memo on that or something.
No, you didn't. And if we go to what the wise guys say here, Vegas over under 7.5 wins, Vegas Raiders. The Chargers over under 8.5, Denver over under 8.5. So they're basically saying who is going to take second and who can finish over 500.
Well, I'm going to pull this. You're not going to like this answer, but I'm taking the Raiders.
Oof. Okay.
For one reason alone.
John Gruden.
I think that the Chargers are going to have an inordinate amount of hype coming into this year because of Justin Herbert's outstanding rookie year, plus a new head coach. I think everybody's buying the Chargers because Anthony Lynn was so bad in late-game situations. But I think I'm not quite there with the Chargers yet. They got to stay healthy. Everybody's got to stay healthy. That's the key to everything. I do think the Raiders have sneaky drafted pretty darn good on the defensive side of the ball, though. And I think that John Gruden has that special sauce. Now, that said, so I guess a question for you. Are they going to go with Teddy Two Gloves or are they going to go with Drew Lock?
Teddy Two Gloves has been named the starter.
Well, thank God, because I have never in my life understood why anybody ever thought Drew Lock was good.
I was talking about this today. What's a bigger bust, Drew Lock or Paxton Lynch? Because those are the last two quarterbacks Denver's drafted, and they've been terrible.
I just never thought either of those guys were good. I don't know how you could even be considered busts. They weren't good.
That's actually...
Like, if you don't know who these guys are when they're in college, I don't really know how they're going to be good. I mean, who has broke that mold, right? There's always this guy that is the Jay Cutler or the Mitch Trubisky or the Drew Lock or the Paxton Lynch, this guy who plays for a no-name school who has 15 games of college experience. They come to the combine, they throw in their underwear, they look so great because they got a rocket arm. The dude, you didn't know who he was because he's not that good, man.
No.
Draft the guys that win 30 games in college like Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. It's so easy.
I hate going back to this. I might get slammed for it, but it's kind of the Jay Cutler syndrome.
100%.
Cutler never won at any level he was at.
That's right.
Vanderbilt, they never had a winning season.
That's right.
I mean, so, yes.
That's right. And that's why it's not surprising when guys like Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson and these guys that win at a high level, Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz. I know Wentz is in the dumps right now, but it's not. To me, guys, that winning is it's a trend. It's a habit. It's a habit. You need to. If you've never won before, how are you going to go win at the highest level of football?
Couldn't agree more. Last thing I'm going to say about my Broncos is, number one, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. And number two, when we're sitting here in late September, Coulter, here's how they start. Giants, Jaguars, Jets. They could be 3-0. And then people are going to start buying Denver, but they have the easiest schedule, so just watch out. Watch out.
They do have some very improved talent. And
defense is good.
Yeah, the defense is good. Their offensive line's gotten better. So I'm not all the way out on the Donkeys just quite yet. Riley Corcoran in studio with me, Coulter Nuanez. More NFL talk, more Grizz talk, more Bobcat talk. Keep it right here. ESPN Radio.
You've been waiting far too long to get back on the links. I mean, summer's here, so I think you should head on out to Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course set along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The challenging course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape. Now, Canyon River also has golf carts with the Shark Experience. That's right, giving you laser-sharp GPS. It's the most beautiful time of the year in Montana, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Oh, I love family road trips. Wind in my ears.
Good dog.
Treats in my mouth. And peace of mind, knowing Les Schwab did our tires, brakes, and alignment. Like Les Schwab, my family's safety is my first priority. Well, that and squeaky toys.
Swing by today and get road trip ready with our always free pre-trip safety check. Les Schwab Tires. Applies to passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks only. Details at leschwab.com/safety.
Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around around the state of Montana.
For those unexpected injuries, skip the ER and walk into our orthopedic urgent care on Mullen Road. Neck to toe, we are here for you with weekday, evening, and Saturday hours. Enter under the blue awning at Suite A, just past the main clinic entrance with convenient drive-up access. No appointment or referral is necessary. Orthopedic urgent care at Missoula Bone and Joint on Mullen Road, because we understand it's never a good time to be injured.
The Missoula Education Foundation is hosting the second annual Scramble for Students Friday, September 17th at the Missoula Country Club. Since 2007, the Missoula Education Foundation has supported Missoula County Public Schools through grants and scholarships to enhance learning and creativity in the classroom. Registration is now open. Teams of 4 will receive a golf cart, lunch, cocktails, raffles, a swag bag, and a fun after party. To register for the Missoula Education Foundation Scramble for Students, please visit MissoulaEdFoundation.org.
Well, back to, normal, I guess? Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that at Selway Armory, the team of firearms experts continue to take great pride in offering the best customer service, the best prices, and the best selection of guns in Montana. Yep, things really do stay the same at Selway Armory. If you're frustrated and can't find the gun or certain ammo you'd like, well, swing by Selway, or you can visit them online at selwayarmory.com. They've got the most extensive inventory you'll find anywhere in Montana or the surrounding region. 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6 in Missoula.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Friday Night Lights made its much-anticipated return. The Frontier Conference kicked off its football season, and game week is officially underway for the Grizzlies and the Bobcats. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Football season is officially back around the Treasure State as high school and Frontier Conference action highlighted the final weekend of August. Among the top highlights of the prep slate included defending Class AA state champion Missoula Sentinel knocking off top-ranked Billings West in a 22-19 thriller at Washington Grizzly Stadium on Friday night in Missoula. West quarterback Isaiah Klotz hit lightning-fast receiver Taco Dowler on a sweet backside screen pass, and Dowler did the rest, racing 55 yards for a touchdown to put West up 19-14 with 7 minutes to play. While Montana Grizz commit Zach Cruz, quarterback Sentinel, to a scoring drive capped by a short touchdown run and a 2-point conversion with 3 minutes left to provide the final margin. Other Class AA scores included number 3 Helena High shutting out number 4 Great Falls High 22-0. The Frontier opened on Saturday. The College of Idaho beat Montana State Northern 42-14 in Havre. Montana Western knocked off Carroll College 25-22 in Helena. Rocky Mountain College defeated Southern Oregon 42-28 in Billings, and Eastern Oregon beat Montana Tech 26-24 in Butte. The Cats and the Grizz are officially preparing for opponents for the first time in years. Montana State opens up its season Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. against Wyoming and Laramie, and Montana opens its season Saturday night at 6 p.m. in Seattle against the University of Washington. Welcome back. Nuanez now. 1029 ESPN Missoula, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. Riley Corcoran, voice of the Grizz, broadcasting with me from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Missed anything in this show? All sorts of great football talk. Heard from Bobby Houck, University of Montana head coach, as his Grizzlies prepare for the University of Washington. We also heard from Brent Deegan, Montana State head coach, as his Bobcats prepare for the University of Wyoming. Both those games on Saturday. Bobcats kick at 2 p.m. By the way, I've gotten a lot of texts and questions all about where to find the Bobcat game on TV, and this is from Montana State Sports Information. It's actually not going to be on TV.
Facebook?
But you can, exactly. Okay. So you can stream it at GoWyo.com. That's G-O-Y, or W-Y-O, GoWyo.com. It's also on the athletic department and football's Facebook pages, or you can find it on the Mountain West site as well. What's the Grizz game is going to be found where? First and foremost, Riley's call will be on the Grizzly Radio Network all across the great state of Montana.
Grizzly Radio Network, and a lot of people have went on the TuneIn app, and this goes for all of college football broadcasts this year. Yep. It's usually been the case. Well, this year TuneIn has made it premium, so you got to pay. So if you want it for free, download the Varsity Network app.
That's right.
The Varsity Network app for the radio feeds for all of that. If you want to watch on TV and mute TV and listen to the radio, obviously. No, shame shameless self-plug. It'd be the Pac-12 network for that game. It'd be at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. But the Varsity Network app, I know it's going to happen during the game and all next week. Couldn't find it. What happened? Download the Varsity Network app, and it's really easy to use, and you have access to every radio link out there for college football broadcasts around the country.
Football season's here. That means podcast launching season is here as well. Check out Riley's Inside the Den podcast. That's hosted at gogriz.com, as well as all your various podcast hosting apps. Launching 2 new ones around here at ESPN Missoula. Catching Up with the Cats, chronicling some of the best players I've covered over the last 11 seasons on my time covering the Montana State beat. We'll get it started with a legend when it comes to Montana State football, Mike Person, a 9-year NFL veteran and a guy who's from the great town of Glendive, Montana, the smallest media market in the United States of America. Person has always been awesome to me, an awesome guy. So we'll look forward to launching Catching Up with the Cats with Mike Person, and haven't decided on the subject yet, still trying to hone in on who's available. But next week, we will launch our latest iteration of Grizz Greats, the 20th anniversary of the 2001 national champions, and we'll feature a variety of guests from Dylan McFarland, the All-American offensive lineman, to Johnny Edwards, the quarterback, Yo Humphrey, the running back, Atu Molden, the wide receiver, Joe Glenn, the head coach, and a whole bunch of other, Vince Huntsberger, a whole bunch of the other outstanding Grizz as well, so look forward to that. Riley, I know you got to go because you got a lot of stuff in the works. It's busy season around here, so just quickly before we get out of here on Nuanez Now, we're going to take you home with an interview with Alex Gubner and Eli Alford, the two big boys right in the middle of the Grizz defensive line. But Riley, I think that there's a lot of mystery around this Montana program on a national level because it's been so long since they played real games of consequence. The narratives that I've heard around Grizz football center upon how the Grizz live life without Marcus Knight and how are the Grizz going to be any sort of functional up front. I think the Grizz defensive line is going to be one of their strengths, but very few people know about the personnel that they have in the fold. Tell people about the Grizz D-line.
I think the Grizz defensive line, strength in numbers, right? And we talked a lot about the youth that they've had in previous years. Well, how have they combated that? Number one, the guys that were youthful have now been in the program for a while. And guys that you're going to talk to right now, and Alex Gubner and Eli Alford, right in the mix of that. How else have they kind of bridged the gap? Going the transfer route. So you just look at it from the outside. The starting defensive ends, North Carolina State transfer in Joe Babros, Arizona transfer in Justin Belknap. And they've went to the corner route too. I think that, Colter, when we talk about the defensive line and how they need to get a push, right? And a lot of people look at one stat to tell you, hey, is the defensive line good? It's sacks. Well, that comes from a variety of reasons. And I also think that the cohesive unit of this defense, the back end, is going to help out the defensive line so much more this year, where you've got the rotation of guys. I mean, defensive end, the fact that you have 3 FBS transfers, Belknap, Babros, and Diari Todd, who is listed on the 2 deep. That's the Michigan State transfer that just got here, along with Jacob McGowan, who is... So, I mean, we saw him on the field a little bit. So you got the perfect mix of youth with the transfer talent, and then these 2 guys in the middle. I mean, those are your top 6 guys. And we're not even talking about guys like R.J. Nelson that have been in the program forever, a Swiss Army knife. So I think they just have a perfect balance, and you've seen it, right? I mean, the youth that you've got guys that are in there now, and then also the transfer talent. It's a perfect mix, and I think that this defensive line is going to have a pretty big year.
Gone are the days of guys that are going to get 15 sacks in college football.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's gone, man, because first of all, offenses mitigate it so much. They get the ball at the quarterback's hands so much more efficiently. You also got so many mobile quarterbacks. You got so many RPOs and zone reads and all of this different stuff. So pass rush is a statistic by committee now. You're not going to see Croy Bierman with 17 sacks or Andy Pedic with 19 sacks like we used to see back in the day. Riley, a pleasure doing this with you as football season is finally here. Good luck with your evening, and we will see you next week.
Can't wait, man. Mondays are going to be a day to look out for. Can't wait to do it.
Nuanez Now. More from the Fat Boys. Yeah, that's right. I called them fat. They love it. It's pride. Eli Alford, Alex Gubner, Grizz nose tackles. Up next on Nuanez Now. Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez. Now I'm here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. And Brent, you guys have been the official realtors of Grizz Athletics for quite some time. What most do you like about supporting the Grizz in Missoula?
Born and raised here in Missoula. I grew up 2 blocks off campus. A lot of us Montana kids were growing up on weekends in the fall. You're out in the woods hunting. I was sitting in Dorm Blazer and then Washington Grizzly Stadium watching the Grizz. I grew up with Grizz in my blood. It's just a wonderful part of our community and happy to be a part of it.
Give the Wahlberg team a call today, 529-4663.
What do Missoulians do best? They support their local stores. Come support your local pharmacy at Palmer's Drug. Palmer's Drug is a retail and compounding pharmacy that is the alternative to big box chain pharmacies. You can expect short wait times, free medication shipping, and friendly service at Palmer's Drug. Located at 918 Southwest Higgins in Missoula, Palmer's Drug is the most convenient way to get your prescriptions in the Garden City. Come in and discover how they can serve your pharmacy needs.
Well, back to normal, I guess. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that at Selway Armory, the team of firearms experts continue to take great pride in offering the best customer service, the best prices, and the best selection of guns in Montana. Yep, things really do stay the same at Selway Armory. If you're frustrated and can't find the gun or certain ammo you'd like, well, swing by Selway, or you can visit them online at selwayarmory.com. They've got the most extensive inventory you'll find anywhere in Montana or the surrounding region. 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6 in Missoula.
Colter Nuanez from ESPN Missoula. And those that have been watching Tutel Nuanez on TV, you probably noticed that for a while I was missing one of my bottom teeth. A baseball, a busted row of teeth, it's a long story, but if you've tuned in lately, you noticed that my tooth is fixed. I owe my new smile to Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates. Dr. Morris is the most trusted oral surgeon in Montana and has extensive experience in all forms of oral surgery. And if you look at my smile, if you never knew, you'd never know I was once missing a tooth. For all your oral surgical needs, call Dr. Morris at Oral Surgical Associates today.
Warm days are here and you're craving something light. Stop into the Montana Club for the limited time honey mustard glazed Alaskan king salmon served in our crisp homemade potato cake. Or savor crisp garden salads, juicy burgers, or custom grilled Montana Club Cattle Company Angus steaks. Cool off with the perfectly mixed cocktail during the club's BOGO happy hour with $5 apps from 3 to 5:30 daily. Visit your Montana Club today on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Why build a work history at a job when you can build a future in your own business? Westpac Wealth Partners is looking for entrepreneurial-minded people who are ready to take their future into their own hands. Nick Tabor and his associates provide clients with financial tools and tested solutions for navigating this complex financial climate. Westpac Wealth also has a work culture that has been recognized as a best workplace in Fortune magazine. If you're ready to start building a business in a long-term career, apply at westpacwealth.com. Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. Insurance products offered through Westpac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Tommy, what if I told you that the only massively popular thing that I hate more than the Beatles is Seinfeld?
If you don't play this bit to get it anytime, you're not going to get to play it.
Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Missoula, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. All football, all the time here on Nuanez Now, including an interview with Grizz defensive tackles Alex Gubner and Eli Alford. Both of them expected to play large roles for the Grizz defensive line. More from the two men in the middle of the Grizz defensive line here on ESPN Radio.
First of all, just tell me about this camp so far. It seems like you guys are really sharp. Seems like practices are really efficient. So what goes into that?
I think that COVID year, we've had so much time between seasons. I mean, practice is like second nature to us. I think we'd have 3 consecutive camps without like a real season. So everyone's pretty dialed. You know, we've all been here for 3-4 years up front, and yeah.
I've been around Coach Al quite a bit, and the procedure, the system, going to work every single day it's such a key to what he does. But how much do you think you guys have turned a corner, both as a defensive line and just as a team, in sort of realizing what the system's all about?
Well, I think, like you said, Coach Houck's been here for a few years now, and we kind of came in around the first time when he got here. So we've just been running the defense for a while now, and it just gets sharper and sharper every time we come out here. And yeah, that's really it. We just keep getting new guys, and we're all pushing each other harder and harder every year, and it's just firing everyone up.
Seems like the depth up front has improved. How much does that help you guys, though? Because it seems like you're rolling quite a few guys on the team.
Yeah, Coach Sachs really emphasizing, good depth of D linemen and people going to be rolling in and out so we don't get tired, so everyone's fresh and, full go, full speed. No one's getting gassed out there, so... Yep.
Eli, what have you thought of just the way your role has evolved? It seems like you get a lot more snaps now than you were maybe back in 2019. So what's gone into that? How have you been able to sort of fight your way onto the field?
I mean, it's just hard work and just getting pushed by all these guys. I mean, last few years we've had Jesse Sims right in front of me who's really been pushing me hard, and with him gone, it just gives me a little extra push just to be the player he was and just the man that he was. Just really fires me up. Think about him every time I'm out here. Just really want to play the way that he played.
I ran into Coach Sachs down at Dobie's Teriyaki. I guess this was last summer. And one of the guys from Hero Sports had put out some story saying it was like all the reasons this team could or could not win the national championship. And I think he said the D-line was the reason Montana wouldn't win the national championship. I told Coach Sachs that. I'm sure he told you guys that. But it seems like that's sort of the perception, though, that maybe I think you guys have an underrated defensive line. But is that a motivating factor to sort of to prove that the defensive line of Montana can become what it once was?
Yeah, I mean, we don't pay much attention to outside noise. I mean, it's all about the team and what our coaches are telling us. We're focused on ourselves. We don't compare ourselves, to others. We're all about being the best that we can be. So, yep.
Going off what Gov said, we don't listen to the outside noise, but really just our whole defense flies around as a whole, and the way we run things is we work our butts off to make things happen for other guys on the field. We're not a group that needs a whole lot of credit. We'll get in there and do whatever work we need to do. As long as helping the team out, that's all that really matters.
On that note, what does it take to be a defensive lineman in this scheme? Because you guys are required to eat up a lot of blocks and not necessarily make a ton of tackles, but it seems like it takes a lot of sacrifice and toughness to do it.
I think two things are you got to be quick and you got to be able to have that enthusiasm and energy to run to the ball. I mean, everyone on our D-line is quick and athletic compared to a lot of other D-lines, and we get after it. We're chasing the ball. We're with all the backers and safeties getting to that ball. So
I want to ask you guys about Jacob McGowering. It seems like he's made a lot of progress, so how do you think he can contribute? Start with you, Eli.
Jacob, he's a hell of a player, man. He's quick as hell. I love watching him fly around. He's still young to the game. The younger kids are still really trying to get a hang of the plays and get them down to where they can just run them and not think about it. Still think he thinks a little too much, but once he gets to the point where he doesn't got to think, that man's going to be flying around, making all types of plays, as you've seen him in the past couple of seasons.
Off-season wise, you guys both look really good. So how much do you think that just the training and the extra time that you guys had in the weight room helped you guys?
Pretty good. We got a new strength coach, and we're doing a lot of Olympic lifting, a lot of heavy, squats and, cane cleans, deadlifts, all, we're trying to get big and strong, and I think it's helped everyone on the front.
Seemed like he made some gains.
Coach Dan Ryan's got us out there just lifting heavy, and the weight room is ecstatic every day. Everyone's fired up to be in there and just lift, and we have a good time with it. And I think that's the biggest part is it's not a chore to anyone. Everyone loves coming and getting to work.
And how about the addition of Justin? Because I know he's a veteran guy that comes from the Pac-12, so seems like he's been able to sort of rise up and become sort of a leader for you guys. So how's that happened?
Well, Justin has been around the block for a while now.
Old man.
He's about 35 years old. So,
he's like my age, right?
So, he brings the most enthusiasm, I think, on the team right now. He gets after it every time he steps on the field. He brings everyone up no matter what we're doing. He's like the Tasmanian devil, which is what Coach Sachs calls him.
Yeah, Belky, that's my man. He's just, whenever anything's dull at practice, you can always expect Belky to bring the juice, and it just fires everybody up, and it's just awesome.
Belky Justin Belknap, a guy that's expected to be a great leader for the Grizz defensive line. Thanks so much for kicking it with us here today on your Monday. It's been a great Nuanez now, kicking off football season officially. Here's a tease for all the things we got coming up throughout the rest of the week. First and foremost, the University of Washington does not allow interviews with opposing quote-unquote media, so we won't be hearing from anybody from the UW football program. But I got a couple fun ones to replace that action. Craig Chambers and Jamal Jones, a pair of wide receivers who finished their careers with the Montana Grizzlies. They both started their careers with the Washington Huskies. So they will both join us later on this week. Also going to catch up with Bobby Houck for our Houck highlights tomorrow, right before practice. Also got Mike Person catching up with the Cats, longtime San Francisco 49ers joining us. This week's ESPN Roundtable, this is also very exciting. Kevin McKinney, who has served as a senior associate athletic director at Wyoming for decades and decades. He'll join us to tell stories about the Cowboys. We're also going to hear from Mary Louise Cook from the Big Sky Conference as part of our Inside the Big Sky. And we also have, of course, a slew of interviews from across the prep ranks as well. Also share an interview with Grizz quarterback Cam Humphrey before the week's over. So we got jam-packed Nuanez now with football on the horizon. So be sure to catch us from 4 to 6 p.m. each and every day right here on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Missed anything in this show? Bobby Houck, Brent Vegan, Eli Alford and Alex Gubner, my main man Riley Corcoran, the voice of the Grizz. There's the Montana Football Hour, all football all the time, and a variety of interviews from across the world of college football in the state of Montana. All that can be found on the podcast, which is proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana, the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel, and Blackfoot Communications. Coming at you hot tomorrow should be a fun one again. We'll have our Treasure State Stars from the weekend. Take you all around the state of Montana when it comes to all the great prep football results from over the weekend. Also touch base on all the other sports that are underway now as well at the prep level. So good to have a full slate, a full schedule back in the fold. And man, this weekend, I wish I was going to Dave Matthews, but instead I'm going to War Memorial Stadium. But either way, should be a fantastic weekend. One more note for the end of the week. I'll be taking the show on the road, be broadcasting to you live from Bozeman on Thursday and Denver on Friday. And then we'll be back in the saddle here in Missoula next Monday to give you all the recap of the Grizz, the Bobcats, and everybody in between. Thanks so much for letting me live my dream, man. This show is the greatest thing in the world to me. I hope you enjoy yourself. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. In the meantime, be good. Do you want to take your golf game to the next level? To be the best you can be on the links, knowing the course is essential. At Canyon River Golf Course, they have a brand new fleet of golf carts complete with the Shark Experience, a state-of-the-art GPS system that offers precise distance-to-pin measurements, hole flyovers, pro tips, and more. In addition, music and entertainment choices provide any golfer with all you need to thrive at Canyon River. Located in East Missoula, Canyon River offers a championship golf experience set on a beautiful, immaculately curated course. For more information, visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com today. Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is